南京西路的恒隆广场应该是男人最不喜欢和女朋友逛的商场了。
Hunglong Plaza on Nanjing Shi Road is probably one of the least favorite shopping malls for men to accompany their girlfriends, as it is known for luxury goods. However, this year, the performance of this Hong Kong-funded commercial real estate giant has been quite dismal. The rent of all shops in this plaza has decreased by 8%, and the merchants' turnover has plummeted by 23%. The newly appointed management stated that they are currently facing unprecedented challenges and can only reduce dividends to ensure operational safety. Some industry insiders believe that the sluggish sales of Hunglong's merchants this year are largely related to the depreciation of the yen. Wealthy people buy a ticket to Japan to buy bags, which is equivalent to free travel. However, the unexpected interest rate hike by the Bank of Japan led to a sharp rise in the yen, and perhaps the situation of high-end malls in China will improve in the second half of the year. Overall, the global commercial real estate sector has not had a good year. Not only in China, but even in other countries, there are also a lot of bad debts in commercial real estate. In short, as ordinary people, it is better to avoid investing in shops, office buildings, and large commercial properties, and live a stable life.
It's tough now, with more and more people losing their jobs. The wave of employment might really come to an end in the next 2 years. It's said that after 2025, there will be no jobs to be found in China. Even the company that always shouted slogans and treated its employees like brothers, Jingdong, recently made headlines for canceling that slogan. They even started to cut lunch breaks and strictly monitor attendance. If even Jingdong is doing this, the situation for small and medium-sized enterprises is even worse, especially in manufacturing. The industry is becoming increasingly competitive, causing most small and micro enterprises to close down. Even the bosses of small companies are submitting resumes now. In the past, if you lost your job, you could still drive for ride-hailing services, deliver food, or courier packages. But that's not possible now. With the advancement of self-driving technology, there are already fewer ride-hailing orders, and the situation is getting worse. College students who used to order food delivery wouldn't have imagined that they would become food delivery drivers after graduation. In the future, what will ordinary people rely on to make a living?
我跟大家汇报一下，我今天面试了2家公司。
I want to tell everyone that I had interviews with 2 companies today, and I was really shocked. Let me tell you, in the Chinese job market now, being over 30 is considered old. The young lady at the first company I interviewed with told me directly that they were afraid I wouldn't be able to stay up late due to my age, so they didn't dare to hire me. I was really speechless and deeply hurt. I didn't know how to respond to her at that moment. I felt especially distressed, a kind of indescribable pain and despair. Do you know? I'm only 30 years old. Am I already considered old? The operations director at the second company I went to told me that if he saw a resume with an age of 35, he wouldn't even look at it, let alone call for an interview. What has happened to society? Is 30 the end of life? Isn't life supposed to start at 30? It's simply absurd and extremely difficult. They are outright banning women over 30, and it's just too cruel.
我今天去面试了3家公司。
I went to interviews at 3 companies today. They all thought I was too old. They said they were afraid I couldn't handle staying up late and working overtime. One company even said that for an unmarried and childless woman at 30, it's already pretty good if a company is willing to hire me. I've already sent out thousands of resumes. I'm willing to travel for work, work overtime, and stay up late, but these companies still think I'm too old. It feels like every word they say to me is filled with disdain. My parents worked hard farming to support me through university. I never imagined that I would fail to bring them any pride. I'm sorry, Mom. I feel so inadequate for not becoming the daughter you could be proud of.
今年真的是太难了。
This year has been extremely tough. Everything is difficult. Working a job is difficult, laboring is difficult, and being a boss is even more difficult. On one side, there's delayed retirement, and on the other, it's too hard to find a job. Right now, every industry is saturated, and there are countless college graduates. Many who have some funds want to start their own businesses. Look at these shops, they are all empty. Nowadays, doing physical business basically doesn't last more than 3 months, so everyone should avoid doing physical business. If your family doesn't have money or a stable income, definitely don't get involved in any business, especially shops. Working a job won't make you rich, but it can barely solve the problem of basic necessities. However, if you start a business, it's basically a near-death experience. What kind of world is this now? The entire mall is empty, look at how deserted it is. Just the water and electricity bills, how will you pay them?
我真的是崩溃了。
I am really frustrated. Are university students without family support really doomed to unemployment after graduation? It wasn't until I graduated from university that I realized that university students are truly everywhere in today's society. It has been more than a month since I received my diploma. I have been submitting resumes on job search apps almost every day, but the responses I get are very few. I don't understand how companies hiring fresh graduates can still require 1 or 2 years of work experience from them. Which university graduate has work experience right after graduating? After graduating from university, I feel powerless every day, constantly doubting myself, feeling depressed, anxious, and hopeless. What is the point of going to university? There are 7 people in our dormitory, and now 5 of them are unemployed. After more than 10 years of hard study, I truly understand that as long as you are willing to endure hardships, there will be endless hardships to endure.
Hello， 大家好，我从西藏回来了。
Hello everyone. I just returned from Xizang, but I don't feel the usual excitement after a trip because I found that job hunting is more difficult than I imagined. During the trip, I started sending out resumes on a large scale, but so far, I haven't received any interview invitations. The feedback from job sites is always not suitable. Most positions in the market clearly require candidates to be under 35 years old, and for women over 35 or 40, we don't even get an interview opportunity. We are all university or postgraduate students who have been working hard since graduation, accumulating rich experience over the years. However, now at 40 years old, I seem to be labeled as non-essential. As technical personnel, we are more like tools that have completed their phase mission. Even though we feel we still have value, in a job market that pursues new blood, we are abandoned. This feeling reminds me of the wave of layoffs in the 1990s. Despite our educational background far exceeding that of our parents, we still cannot avoid a midlife crisis, becoming part of the unemployed masses. Are there any female friends of my age with similar experiences? Have you found new jobs? How long did it take? Or have you changed your career direction? Can you give me some advice?
昨天去面试了，底薪7K。
Yesterday, I went for an interview for a job with a base salary of 7,000 yuan. Although it's not high compared to big cities, it's quite good in Chongqing. During the interview, the overall feeling was fine, and we talked for a long time. In the end, the boss offered me the job on the spot. However, at that moment, I felt very heavy-hearted. I didn't accept it immediately but politely said I needed to go back and think about it. You might wonder why I didn't accept the offer. There are actually 2 reasons. First, the boss said 2 things during the interview that left a deep impression on me. We don't hire women over 30. And you're lucky you don't have children. If you did, we couldn't hire you. As a 29-year-old woman, this made me feel a great sense of crisis. Aren't women in their 30s at the prime of their lives and mentally mature? Shouldn't they be the most expected age group? We have experience and a great work attitude, yet we face the predicament of being forced out. What do you expect these women over 30 to do? I can't accept this reality. The second reason is the job requirements. I interviewed for an administrative assistant position, but the job requirements include not only administrative tasks but also sales and operations, as well as being the boss's assistant. It also often requires working overtime until 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. This means I would have to invest almost all my time in this job, and I would need to meet his assessment standards during the 3-month probation period, or else I would be eliminated. I would rather be a nanny, at least it wouldn't be so exhausting. However, when I looked at job postings online, I found that many require one person to do the work of several people, completely disregarding you as a person. So what's the point of working for others? Instead of slaving away for someone else, Why not work for myself? Therefore, I decided to take a chance and open a small shop. I'll try it first and see. The good news is that orders are already coming in bit by bit, so I must keep working hard for myself.
I always thought that turning 35 was a critical point in the internet industry, but what I didn't expect is that in China, women over 30 are already at the end of their career paths. I have a close friend who applied for a sales position at a well-known company, and HR directly told her that they only consider women under 30, and she was immediately passed over. The reason given was that women over 30 might not be able to handle staying up late due to health reasons. In her previous company, there were indeed situations where work extended until 2 a.m. or even involved all-night shifts, but the company never mentioned hiring criteria based on age. The HR's outright rejection of women over 30 is a blatant example of age discrimination and disrespect towards women in the workplace. Moreover, women face many unfair treatments in society. Some companies even use whether a woman has children as a criterion for hiring. Unmarried and childless women in their 30s, regardless of their abilities, are directly passed over. It's surprising that age, marital status, and having children have become seen as flaws for women in their 30s in the workplace. Being over 30 is considered high age, and women over 30 are beginning to face unemployment. However, I believe that the real beginning of life starts at 30. Women in their 30s have experience, insight, communication skills, and the ability to express themselves, which is a perfect starting point for their careers. It can only be said that today's companies are too profit-driven and lack ethical considerations. Furthermore, women over 30 who are still working face dual pressures. On one hand, they must deal with the pressures of age, and on the other hand, they face doubts about their capabilities. Additionally, the conflict between family and career is an issue that cannot be ignored. Most women in their 30s already have families and children, requiring them to balance work and family, which makes their career path challenging. After all, no one wants to neglect their family for the sake of work. It is both pitiable and tragic. I hope that one day in the future, there will be more opportunities and platforms for women over 30 who are full of capability and confidence to shine brightly in the workplace.